texts, Gemara's. One of the things I think is that by doing this, you have to kind of get used to the concept. Could be that you all have it and it's fine in your brains already, but I found I needed to see enough Gemara pieces, enough Tosfos to see how they arranged it. So we'll start. I sent out to you to make sure you all have the Gemaras, some complaints, whatever, but so we'll start with Pesachim on what I sent today. That's page 3. Okay, we'll start there. There's a big Tosfot, which I like to do, but Tosfot assumes that we know the Gemaras, and we'll see the Gemaras. So maybe we'll come back to the Tosfot. Anyway, let's look at a small piece of Pesachim on the bottom there. That's Tet Lamed Bet, 18. Okay, Tishat Siburim. All right, Josh, read this. But let's say before you read it, just notice Rashi. Everyone on the left, Tishat Siburim, Piske Halachotein. They're giving a number of psak halachas and a kind of observation. Also, I would say basically what's going on here is that they're kind of lining up this halacha with the halacha that we're more concerned with, but here it is, speaks of Inyanei Diyoma, Shloshim Yom B'nei Chag, Darshim, the Shalim, the Darshim, the Hilchos Chag, Inyanei Diyoma. Okay, enough introduction. Tishat Siburim.
Where's the other page? I'm sorry.
That's the bottom third of the page, but in Kudetayim.
It's by the Pirish and Rashi.
This is in Ksubas?
No, Pesachim. Page 3.
Pesachim.
Page 3.
Got it. Sorry about that. Okay. That should be easier to find than if I'm on the wrong page. Alright. Teishat Siburim Shel Matzah Ve'achad Shel Chametz. Ve'ata Achbar V'Shakal V'lo Yadinan I Matzah Shakal O Chametz Shakal.
That's the end of a quote. That's the end of a quote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there we go. Right. So now the question is, what's the problem? What are we worried about?
Right. Hainu.
No. Before that, I'm asking you.
Oh,
so halachically, what's the problem?
We have a certain, over percentage of matzah, but there's a smaller percentage of chametz around, and in comes a random element, and we're not sure of whether it took one of the appropriate things that it's okay to spread around, or one of the inappropriate things, namely the chametz.
And what's the practical halachic problem? I'll give you the answer. You can find it. What?
Can we rely on rove? Is it a rove situation or not?
I understand, but practically speaking, look at Rashi. V'ata achbar v'shakal.
Which Rashi, sorry?
That's.
You have to do Dika's comments again.
Okay, whether there has to be Bedika or not.
We need a Bedika or not. However, you'll find in the Tosfot, and we'll do just a little piece of that, Hainu Tisha Chaniyot. And then the whole question is maybe there's a chazaka already that it's baduk, all those kind of situations. He has a different pshat, and his pshat is...
it's a Sveka Doraisa.
Well, what is it? When is a Safek Deraisa? If you're already batal, by the way, you should know that. If you're already been mevatel, then you've been mevatel. It only makes it into a Drabanan situation. So Tosfos brings down, could very well be the low batil. He hasn't been mevatel yet. But what he's interested in is, look, it says I'm sorry, where he says in the middle, 1, 2, 3. I'll read it. About 5 lines down. V'al the gabe tisha chaniyot lecha cheskat heter, aval hacha ukma cheskas baduk dahab baduk mairi. The lav hachi peshita the boy bedika. The nero lari do not shebi achbar labayit. The nimsa the boy ishari lachila alo. Whether or not whether or not you're going to be able to eat whatever you're going to find in that house, right? In other words, whether that piece itself, right, is problematic in terms of achila. Okay, that's all. Just to know that. However, our situation, going back into the Gemara, this quote, the Gemara comments, is the same halacha of Hainu. Go back into the Gemara, 4 lines down, 3 lines down.
Yeah, Hainu Tisha Chanuyos.
Peirash.
The Ata Achvar. Shakal.
No, yeah, Rabbi, I'm sorry.
Oh.
So let's read it better here. Hainu Tesha Chaniyot, period. That's the whole same halacha we know of Tesha Chaniyot, right? Tesha Tziburim is like Tesha Chaniyot. We have the same questions regarding do we say it's kavua? Do we say it's rob? What do we do with the fact that it's 9 against 1? It's the same halacha. Then they continue the quote regarding the din of Pesach. You understand? They're comparing 2 sections. It's like they're comparing 2 sets of Braitot or Mishnayot. And now we continue with our Pesach Dika Braita. Peirash, you read that. Peirash.
Peirash, Be'ata Achbar B'Shakal.
And that, Peirash, Be'ata Achbar B'Shakal, what's the case? Peirash, what's Peirash? Look at Rashi. Easiest to look at Rashi. Peirash.
Krusa le'achas mina tzipurim, la'achas mina zeviyos. V'lo yadana mahi minayu.
Mihai minayu.
Yeah. Mihai minayu.
Peirash.
Peirash, be'ata achbar b'shakle, v'nichnas l'bayis.
Okay, so now we have it in the house. So the Peirash, what happened? A piece of bread, a crumb rolled over, a large crumb, a cupcake rolled over, okay? And now, right, and the Achbar and took it, okay? That, Hainu, go back into our Gemara, Hainu.
Hainu, Seifa.
The Seifa of what? Now they're going to give us the full Mishnah. Ditnan.
Ditnan, Tesha, Chanuyos, Kulan, Mukari.
Mochrin.
Sorry, Chanuyos, Kulan, Mochrin, Basar, Shechuta, V'achas Mocharis, Basar, Nevela.
Okay, period. Stop it there. That's the first half. That's the 10. That's the 9 chanuyot, etc. Now it continues. Uvenimsa. And stop there. And that is the same thing with regard to the peirash. Because what's nimsa?
It's kind of strike. It appears.
It's a
I think it's like you'd think.
But what is the parallel in the chametz case? What is the parallel in the chametz case? In the chametz set of Mishnah, they're comparing 2 sets of Mishnah out here.
Right.
So
that there's 9/10 of the material.
No, that's the Reisha. That's the Reisha. Nimsa, okay, we'll read the Rashi. With the Nimsa, which is further down.
Nimsa basar and Nimsa bakarka. Beina chanuyos. Okay, this is like someone left a piece of meat between 2 stores. Halach achar harov. Oh, that's interesting. It's kind of like you assume that it came from the highest percentage of the kind of store. You assume it comes from the rov. Techol de parish meruva parish. Dekevan de parish ein kantonas kavua. It's been separated from its distinct kind of context. So now, since it's kind of a free-floating entity, now you can just go according to the highest percentage.
Okay. We go, okay. So, but what do we now have? We have so I'll ask the group, what do we, by comparing these 2 set of Mishnah, what do we have? What is it? How does this help us?
Well, it begins to help us simply by creating comparable situations and by isolating one of the primary factors, right? At what point is it separated? Is it right? Is it already separated and then the mouse steals it? Or does the mouse steal it, right? Which would parallel the two options of you find the nevela or you buy it and you have a suffix about whether you bought it from the treifa or the non.
Okay, so you took this one or two steps beyond me, and I'm not going to judge it one way or the other. I would say that we'll come to that judging, but what it does minimally is that we have a consistent halacha, right? If it's a consistent halacha in chametz, and it's a consistent halacha in this of tarfus. Okay, so of kashrus, so fine. These are obviously edible type of things, but this notion of kavua and the notion of nimsa are in both, and also it helps us that the notion of nimsa when it talks about teisha chaniyos going mokrim basar shchutza v'achas v'kach meichap v'nu dem meizno v'kach svekol aser uvenimsa halach achar harov. What we didn't have there was what? What words didn't we have? That's in the Mishperash. So now we're able to say nimsa is a din of perash. That seems to be the parallel there. Something separated from the rove. Just very simply on that. The question then the Gila says is, well, how is it that it was perash? Do we have a two-step situation or not a two-step situation? That I'm going to leave for right now. Any other comments on this?
Well, we're looking for a basis to see if there's a possibility for a kula, so the person would be able to eat this food that the mouse brought in or not. Otherwise, we're stuck and we won't be able to.
So you're looking towards the end. That we're already looking for a kula. Interesting. Well, I don't know. Maybe we are, or maybe we're not. I mean, the whole thing of kavua, I still don't know what kavua. Well, let me ask the question right now. So far, just on this basis, the little bit of information we have right now.
Or we need to do Badika again.
I know. I'm very good. Fine. What's the argument that you have to do Badika again? I don't want to go too far into it, but what's the argument that you would have to do Badika again? Which case? The first case or the second case? In the case of is the case of Sveko, right, or the case of Porish?
In the second case.
Sveko.
Yeah. In the first case, you have to anyway.
What's the first case and what's the second case?
Yeah, I know. So you have to do the parallel. Yeah, the parallel. You have to do the parallel type of situation.
You're talking about. We're talking. The real question. We're using the Teisha Chanuyot to explain the Achbar case.
Right.
The Achbar case. We don't know whether he took the matzah. Right. Hi. Here I am. If you can see me. I think the question is we don't know. Hi guys. We don't know if the Achbar took it from the box or if he took it from the corner in the room. And because if he took it from the box, then it would be called kavua, and it would be mechza. But if the matzah was already out of one of the boxes,
the matzah
or the chametz was already out of the whatever.
Piece.
Well, we don't know what it was.
Right.
If it was already out of the boxes, then it would be like the seifa of the Mishnah, which would be we'd go by rov.
Which would be nimsa or perash.
And then that's
perash slash
nimsa. Perash is nimsa, right?
No, but that's how we're doing it.
Right.
That's how we're doing. They're lining up the two.
They're lining it up. Exactly.
They're lining it up.
They're lining up perash with nimsa, and then it would be going after the rove. But not that if he would taken it from the box. Then it would be kavua. It would be like this, the first part of the Mishnah of the Chanuyot.
What I want to ask is, I want to go now away from Psak Halacha on that to the situation of what do we know so far about kavua? Just by looking here, what's kavua? What's perash? Just whatever little we know. Anybody want to tell us about kavua? What's kavua based on this?
It's stationed in its normal place. And it's predictable, a normal place.
This is the distinction between like concrete situation and like and a theoretical question in a sense.
Flux.
Right, like a kavua situation is one where it's not. We know that things are fixed because they have distinct qualities. Like the situation as it stands is determined a certain kind of way. Namely, there's these specific stores, and you go and they have a concrete relationship to them, versus a question of probability, in which it is you can only have actually just the question of the whole, not a question of what's specific.
I would say it's original situation it's Kavua is the original situation whenever we started thinking of all these stores as a unit of 9 and 1. So it's whatever that original situation is.
But what about the shuk then, Isaac?
Yeah, but what do you mean?
The shuk has an original situation. It doesn't require payrash to not be kavua.
You're saying that the shuk doesn't have an original situation.
No, I'm saying that the two are distinct, right? That the shach, I think, distinguishes the two, right? Between the chaniyos and the shuk. The shuk is like stalls or whatever. They don't have. There's not enough distinction to them. There's not enough definition to them.
You mean something that's loose in the shuk?
No. Like you have a certain amount of material brought from the shuk. You come home from it, and you can. It's not the case that it's kavua.
Okay.
Right. It's the difference in going to like a market, to like an outdoor green market or whatever, and going to like Bloomingdale's and Toys R Us.
Why did you bring shuk as opposed to chaniyot into the conversation?
Because that's an original situation. I'm saying like what's missing from the original versus changed distinction is a sense of concrete distinction. Right? Like there's something special about a store. Like there's something special about the walnuts. Right? There's something distinguishable and recognizable about them. It demands a different type of relationship to them from us, which is why they're just they're like kind of set aside, set apart. Does that make sense?
I lost you a little bit.
A shuk is like a mass situation, right? The stalls go up, the stalls go down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People like have regular places, but it's not like you go to the one stall and go to the whole shuk. And the shuk is made up of 90% this, 10% that.
Which shop is this?
We're not
you
going
go
to.
specific stores to buy specific items. And thus, like, it's not the case that you can just say, I had a 90% chance that I did the right thing.
Interesting.
Okay, we have a couple of sheets out there. Anybody, any other conclusions of people? What about payrush? Anybody give a definition of payrush? What's payrush?
Once something leaves a kavua situation, it's been in transit, it's not in its predictable stationary situation.
Okay, that's a good definition. Okay, so it's on its own. It's anarchic. It's payrush. It's separate. Okay, fine. Okay, that's good. Let me see something now, which I'm going to suggest at the end. Maybe my whole thing will change, but that actually, what you have is if you have a number of chaniyot, one would think to go by rov, except there's something that's called kavua that stops it, that takes it outside of it. Kavua itself changes the nature of rov. Normally you would think rov. And the question is, why does kavua, whatever that kavua means, why does all of a sudden it makes it meksa al meksa? What does kavua do to say we don't go exactly like rov? We have learned up to now there's such a thing as rove, and that with a rove, what do we say? A rove can be mevatel, whatever the minority element can be. What are the situations that we saw in learning in which that notion of rove is inhibited? We've learned.
Yeah, we've learned a series of exceptions.
Okay, let's go through some of those exceptions. Just mention them. One.
Like Ribunei,
Excuse me? What do you say, Isaac?
I was saying maybe Ribunei Badan, in which the rove doesn't help us.
Okay, what else?
Syria.
Deah, because it so scares us or whatever else it is. Okay, what else?
Hashivas, that whole...
The whole chashivut, which includes both a roy skabed,
Yeah.
right?
And so what's
Dover
different about-
minion. Okay, here we have something which is not dependent on chashivas. It's totally separate. It's not. It's different than Beria. It is a situation in which the rove doesn't work. The rove stops. And so now the question, for me, part of the big question is, why does a term that actually the Gemara hasn't used it, the term of kivius, or because the Gemara just gives us the psak in a certain situation of 9 and 1, all of a sudden we say meksa. What is it? The term that's going to be used by Rishonim is the word kivius. How does that stop it? That was in my brain. So I'm saying is, I'm starting in my brain with rove, how we normally do it, and rove we consider to be a deraisa matter. That, right? Achrei rabim lahatos, it's deraisa, and therefore 2 against 1 deraisa takes care of it, is mevatel it. And why all of a sudden we say no? In the case of chashivas, we gave shitas, our shita and our biria, that these things are so prominent. Davar Minyan. Davar Minyan is because every single thing is a chashiv. I'm using the word chashivas, but everything itself is chashiv because we counted 1 by 1 by 1. Therefore, everything's chashiv. Or certain things, the food item per se, royal iskabe. Therefore, it stops the rove. It inhibits the rove. What here we're not talking about davar that is chashiv. You could add that, but in a pure case, we're not talking about davar that has chashivut. We're just talking about the fact that rove is not going to apply. Now, it's very important to have rove. If you know why it's important. Why it's important to have rove? Besides from the fact it's a deraisa, but why is it important to have rove? Because without rove, then you're never ever going to be able to mevatel anything. So, but we have to say something is kavua. And now I want to figure that out with you. What makes something kavua?
This seems
right.
This seems different from even the other exceptions that we've seen to rove. The other ones, the focus was something inherent to the item itself. It's inherent chashivas, or it's relative chashivas, or it's a biria.
Right.
But here it's the opposite. There's nothing inherent to the object. It's actually all the context from which it's taken.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Excellent.
We're not looking at the item. There's nothing inherently special about this item. What's special is the circumstances upon, that we encounter it.
Okay, good. And that's why, again, that's why I just said a second ago, that's why it has nothing to do with chashivas. You're saying that we're saying the same thing. It's good. We're saying on both sides.
It has to do with chashivas in the sense of the origin, right? It has aura around the object.
So it's not about let me just say it. It's not about chashivas in the object itself. I'm just repeating now also how Gila said it. It's the chashivas. It's not so we don't use the word chashivas. Chashivas, limit the term chashivas. I have to move on with it. Limit the term chashivas to davar me'atzma. That will give it. The davar me'atzma will give it chashivas. But that's when we use all those other terms. This is a different issue. We don't need that term. Therefore, we're going to get rid of that term for this one. We're not going to use it for that.
I could even add more, maybe. But if you want, I could add more. Maybe chashivas is a rabbinic concept. Maybe here we're in a different world. We're not talking about
maybe. We'll see. Now let's go to. Let's go to Gemara Kesuvos. No, I'm moving ahead. Let's go. We have to, or else we won't get enough. Let's go to Gemara Kesuvos. Keep whatever ideas you have right on the side. It'll come in. Everyone said good things so far anyway. I was going to do the whole lead up to this Gemara and the jokes in the Gemara, but I'll have to do it another time. Let's go to page 2 that I sent you, Ketuvot, Tet, Vav, Amid Aleph. Okay, Ketuvot, Tet, Vav, Amid Aleph, in the middle of the page. Amar Rabbi Zera, Kol Kavut, Kamechsa, Mechsa, Dami, which is parallel to the Tosos, Prat, Zorek, Eben, Lago. Okay? So they bring something from before. Rabbi Zera says, and here we have Kavua. Kol Kavua Kamechsa Mechsa Dami. Okay? So, okay. I need a reader, Isaac read. Kol Kavua. Gufa.
גוף אמר רבי זרע, כל קבוע כמחצה מחצה דמי. בין לכולה, בין לחומרה. לרבי זרע, אילי מה מתשע חנויות, כולן מוכרות בשר שחוטה ואחת בשר נבלה, ולקח מאחת מהן ואינו יודע מאיזה מהן לקח, ספקו אסור, ונמצא הלך אחר הרוב. האטם לחומרה.
Stop. This is very good. Okay? This is very good, because the other cases that we were talking about here, we were talking about a rape case, and we're talking about if the woman was raped in a city where Rov Masi'im L'Kahuna, that the majority of the people there could marry ostensibly, if they did it in a more legal way, could marry into, or they could have their children marry into Kahuna, a way of saying that the Be'ila, the illegal Be'ila against this, it's a Tinoket, a young gal, was done, she can still marry into Kahuna, and her blood can marry into Kahuna. So now we've extended the halachic parameters of talking. So we're saying, in a situation, and that's in the situation they want to show, maybe they have a case in the Gemara there that maybe there's 2 robes that are necessary because there's a caravan that comes through. The robe of the people on the caravan are kosher lahasi lakuna. There's the robe of the city. Whether it's 2 robes or 1 robe, this is the whole notion. And saying is, when we say that Mechsa can approve the situation of that when there's a kavua, that could be considered considered meksa, ben lakula, ben lachumra. So now we bring the case as the source of it is, or the paradigm of it, of our case of the 9-1 stores, and now the Gemara says there's a problem with using that for our case. Hatam, if that's proof you're going to bring, now read Isaac. Hatam. Stop. In other words, that's the case of Chumrah. We say Mechsa, and it's also.
And it's Asur, and most of them are kosher, and that's a Chumrah.
Okay, that's a Chumrah. So he brings it from another case. Ella. Okay. What is a sheretz? If you touch a sheretz, what does it do to you?
You get tuma.
I mean, if it's a dead sheretz, you get tuma. A dead frog.
Don't get tuma.
You don't get tuma, and they're put together often in the Gemara because they're there's tremendous exception. You would think that a frog would be part of it. That's why it's mucher to kiss the frog, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Okay, we teach the fire of the sheretz. What was that old thing you say? You have to kiss a lot of frogs in order to get a prince? Okay, whatever. Teach us starting the sheretz echad b'nehem. The naga. These are all dead animals. The naga. Go to Isaac. Read the naga.
The naga b'chad v'noda mezen me'en naga.
Wait, wait a second. I think you skipped down.
I didn't skip.
No. Wait a second.
Oh no, I did skip. I definitely
go back up. Don't be a skipper. when I had a shul, and all the people in the shul for the morning minyan were 85 and older, and some guys, when they would be doing Chazar Shashat, would turn 2 pages of 1 page and continue. The old guys would scream out, "Skipper! You're a skipper!" And then you'd have to go back. Not always. These guys, one guy, Laser, never went back. He was a skipper, that was it. He was very popular because he got out of minyan an extra minute and a half early. Okay. Venia de Beza had Noga. Go ahead, now read it better, I think.
Okay.
Sveiko. Ah, so that's the same. That's. You can hear me in the hallway. That's good. Okay, what? So that's it. No. So he wants to bring that as another proof. Whereas that's another. First of all, we're seeing that this is a shas halacha, right? It's not just located in one area. It's a shas halacha. This is very important. So Gemara says back. You want to bring that as the proof? Hatanami.
Hatanami l'chumra. Ela miteshet shratzim v'tzvadeh echad b'nehem. ונגע, זה opposite case, 9 שרצים מצדה אחד מהם, נגע באחד מהם ואינו יודע באיזה מהם נגע, ברשות היחיד ספקות טמא, ברשות הרבים ספקות טהור.
Okay, so wait a second, let's try to get this. Why would there be a distinction between Reshut HaYachid and Reshut HaRabbi?
That stumped me.
Okay, Reshut HaYachid, because we have a case of Tumah Reshut HaYachid. That's the case of the Sota, warned by her husband. Don't meet with the guy in private. And therefore, if she meets with this guy, she meets with the guy in private. We don't see anything, but she meets with the private. We say,
Sveiko Tame.
Sveiko Tame. If she meets with him for coffee and aroma, right? Rabbi Sveiko Tar. Tahar. So wait, how would this prove our case? How would that help us? How would that help us to...
It gives us a possibility for a kula.
Yeah, well, how does it help us for a kula?
Because you have...
In the Reshut HaRabbi.
Right. So since it's 9, even though it's 1, and therefore, even though it's 9 against 1, we're still going to say that it's tahar. Therefore, they prove Rabbi Zera's situation that there's meksa, and meksa sometimes can be tipped over in a situation even for a kula. Now the Gemara asks, will be Dioraita? Guys, continue.
Dioraita minalan, where we know from the scripture.
What's the case? Yeah, what's the case? The ambusher, right? He's ambushing him, right?
Well, yeah, that's talking about, and then the person can go to like an air mikvah, but.
The pasuk here in the Torah is "V'chi ish soneh l're'ehu v'arvev lo v'kam alav v'ikam nefesh v'met v'naseh l'chad harim ha'el."
So he doesn't go to the. He can be killed for it. He has kavanah.
Yes, he does. V'nas elachad harim ha'el. This is.
Oh no, and then you take him out.
Right, and then you take him out. But this is in the context, right, in Devarim where it's talking about Aram Mikla.
Right, fine. The point is what? Finish your sentence.
Well, the point is, the pasuk says, "Va'arev lo v'kam alav," right? So it seems, and so I guess they're darshaning from that, "Va'arev lo v'kam alav," that you're only chayiv if it's you killed a person that you intended to kill. Va'arev lo v'kam alav, right? A person that you intend to kill is the one that you end up killing.
Now, okay, so now we have to continue with the Gemara. For Rabbanan Amre, okay.
Right, that's what it says. Achit kaven lo, that you mean him, you need him specifically.
Right.
Rabbanan amrei devel biyanai, prat l'zorek even lego. Echi dermi, ilem adika tisha knanim v'chad Yisrael b'nehem, tipuk la deruba knanim ninu. Inami.
Wait. In other words, you don't need the pasuk.
Right.
You'd go by rove. first of all, the assumption here is that you're not chayav mitzvah for killing a Kanani. Highly embarrassing Gemara. Okay, it sounds a lot better when they say Oved Kochavim or something, but here
There are no Canaan today.
fine, whatever about that. But the point is that if you give it that case, then you don't need the pasuk because we already know it by Rov. Right?
So then it must be teaching the opposite case, where there's one Kanani will prove of
Inami, or maybe the second possibility, Isaac read Inami. Maybe it's 5, right? 5 Kananim and 5 Yisrael. But we have another halacha about death penalty. So lo tzricha, I mean they're dragging it out in order to bring the proof. Lo tzricha. So kol kavua.
And that's the kula.
And that's the kula.
And
So
that's
actually,
the
it's the best way from doing the pasuk and then deriving it, that we end up having the case. And again, it's really a shas halacha.
And it's deraita.
And it's deraita. It's a deraita, as Rabbi says here at very point. This is clearly how the Gemara sees it, as a deraita halacha that kavua is kametza al mechza. So in a certain sense, it's a gezerah takatu. And that's actually going to be very important understanding kavua. In other words, I always look for the logic of kavua. But if you say gezerah, listen to me carefully. But if you say gezerah takatu, you say, well, that's it. It's mandated law of a thing called kavua. Okay, so kavua can cut both ways. Now we still don't have a full definition of kavua. We have the impact of kavua. The impact of kavua is to make a metza, and to make it to lakula or lachumra. It cuts all the way. It cuts all the way through. A havana of that, to really understand it, we don't have that yet. Any comments on this so far? You catch it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Then, I mean, what's interesting is this then seems to be making a principle about, like, the status of a mixed group, right, as opposed to an individual item.
Well, so clearly here, let me just...
Right, like a mixed group, like Teisha Chanuyot.
It's a mixed group. It's like Teisha plus 1.
Teisha plus 1 Chanuyot is a mixed group.
Teisha plus 1 Chanuyot is a mixed group. What's the kavua? In one case, the kavua is the chanut that sells not kosher. In another case, the chanut is the creepy crawler. In another case, it's what? What's another case that the?
But I don't with the matzah, but I don't understand why you're saying that one is kavua. Aren't we always saying that all of them together are kavua?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but listen, but we don't worry about that's kind of an interesting thing. But we don't, in a sense. It's the one Yisrael who's kavua, maybe. In other words, because it's usher to kill the Yisrael, so I didn't say it right. No, I'm saying according to the logic here. According to the logic here.
The Gemara says the Kanani is the kavua, but I don't think it means by itself.
It has to be the Yisrael that's the kavua, really.
Yeah, I think it's the category of the human that resists being generalized, but of course, at least in this case.
Well, that's a nice drusha. That's what I said.
No, it's not. What
are you talking about? The category of a creepy crawler or a frog? What? Come on. It's kavua. The point is, it's a shas halacha that's not based on sermonics.
Because in this case, only the Jew is considered human.
Only what?
This has to do with legal categorization of a person.
It's not. Because that's not the point here. All the Gemara, what they're going through everywhere, by bringing so many different cases, is that this is a halachic category of that which stands out, let me finish, of what it's usher to do. It's usher to eat chametz. It's usher to make yourself tameh. usher to kill a Jew. All these things are put on the same level. This may be embarrassing, but this is actually what's going on here. What do you do with all these other Gemorahs, Josh?
Wait. I think I want to be clear because I don't think like my point from before is extending it here is that it has to do with the concrete nature of the situation. And I think that's, by the way, that extends also to the other objects too. I think us saying it has to do with the inherent nature of the object is also not right. It has to do always with our relationship to what's going on.
Let's talk about relationship with God. Everything has a relationship. But there's a question about the thing within itself. That's davar, that's chashivut. We're saying davar haroy kabe is internal to the object itself. In all these other cases, it has nothing to do about the thing itself, how important it is. It would be nice to give...
The point about it in every case is about noticing. It's about noticing.
I don't know, you're going from humanism to Hashilianism, you gotta notice. Is it ineffable? What the hell is this? What? Yeah?
This is all very hard nosed. I'm just talking about categories. I'm not trying to make a drush about anything. I'm trying to say that I think what's happening here has to do with whether, the question is, when there's a calculus happening inside of your head, as you're working through this experience, if you're going to be honest about what's going on, you cannot lump everything that you're observing into some mass, undifferentiated quantity that the best course of action is just to go according to best probability, which is the general rogue situation in which the distinction has been dissolved and all you can really go on is best chance scenario. In this case, there is something that is impeding itself. It does not allow us to just smooth everything into an undifferentiated mass. It doesn't let itself do that. And in this case, before when it had to do with the designated objects, it's because we know we'd be lying to ourselves if we just said, oh, is this a best chance? No, I know where the things are. I put the things there. And in the chanut, it's because it's a specific store that I'm going to buy things. And in this case, I think it has to do with the category of the person. The legal category can't just be erased.
As long.
No, I actually think it's the opposite. We're not, so what we're really saying here is, we have a mixed group, and so we cannot treat it as all Jews or all non-Jews, right? We cannot actually say, is this a group of Jews or is it a group of non-Jews? Because it's actually a mixed group. And so because
why can't you just say Rove then? But
because
what you're saying, you should be able. But that's what I'm saying, Sheila. That's exactly what I'm saying. You have to always consider it a mixed group. You cannot just say it is by possibility this, that, or the other thing, because it does not let itself be smoothed into another.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with humans. That's the same as the stores.
Right. It has to do with the legal category of the human, which in this case is the Jew.
How is that any different than the shop?
What?
How is that different than the store?
Because how is it not?
We're going to see this
Yoreh
and all that. This is going to be important. But hey, listen, some of these are good issues. We're going to find we're going to find very soon how some of the Rishonim deal with it. So therefore, thank you, Josh. As long as you don't valorize human life in our halachic discussions, I'm happy. Okay, now. Don't worry, no. We're going to come to some of these things. No. Both of you are hitting on the same topic from different sides. I think we're going to come to some ideas about what kavua. But the one thing I take from both of you is the notion of that there's something mixed categories that resist, as you said, the smoothing over, and that there's a term for that. That's mu'raf, for things to be thoroughly, not just mixed, but absorbed. We will come to it. Now we're going to go to the Chulin, Sadi Hey Omed Aleph. It actually starts with Sadi Dalet Omed Bet on the bottom of the page. And that's page 4 that I sent you for those who, for whatever reason, need to use it. And I think I'm going to start from the top of the page, because I want to take off 2 minutes for this hilarious Gemara. And before the word E, the words from Tzadi Dalam Abed is, Ahu Tavcha D'Amr Le L'Chavre. There was a butcher who said to his friend. How can you not start a Jewish story like that? A butcher says to his friend. That sounds to a fellow butcher probably. Top of the page. Ye have it, feiset minoi. If you would have treated me better, if you did peace with me, mi lo saifi lecha mishor shel fatam. Wouldn't I given you from that fat ox? I slaughtered such a good fat ox, I would have given you a piece to eat. The avdi etmol that I prepared yesterday, which others I slaughtered yesterday. Amarle, the friend, says back, Afli mishufrei shufrei. Well, I ate for the best part of that ox. Says Jewish one-upmanship against each other. Amarle, midolach. What are you talking about? Where did you get it? Amarle, the zavin ploni oved chacham, because you sold the rest of it to a goy, or you sold it to a goy. The safali, and he gave to me to eat. Amarle, the butcher says back, Trey Avdi. I slaughtered 2 yesterday. Vahu Treifa. And you bought the Treifa one from the goy. Vahu Treifa Hava. So this is a big joke of who's smarter. But now the truth is the joke's on us. Amar Rabbi says we got a problem now. The basic halacha is that we've allowed ourselves to buy meat from makolit, from a makolit run by a goy that's in Mea Sharim or Bnei Brak, where they don't sell anything else except stuff that is kosher. That's not a problem. What does this guy do? Look at the crisis Rebbe finds ourselves in. Amar Rebbe. Vishvil shota zeh she'asa shelo kahogan. Because of this fool, butcher, who did something wrong. What did he do wrong? He sold a treifa to a goy. He can't sell a treifa to a goy. If he sells a treifa to a goy, he'll sell it to a Jew. Anu nasar kol hamakolim. We're going to be asked there we're going to now say, we have to send out all the makolit for those of you who want other contexts. That means we're forcing goyim out of the business. So that's also problematic. The whole thing, the whole economics and everything like that, it's a real big problem. But something I have to say here, there's a basic halacha with that is when you sell to a goy, that's what will come up in a moment. When you sell to a goy, a treifa, because what are you going to do? You can't, economically, you can't afford to absorb the cost of slaughtering a fat ox and just throwing it out. You can't absorb it. You have to be machris. The general halacha was, you're machris. Ivan, I am now selling you this treifa ox. And Ivan basically said, it's treifa already, so give me a deal. And so, that's how it goes. But by being machris that, it stops him
Or you have to machris in public, maybe.
Yeah, machris in public. But, the word gets around, and also he knows better, and that's fine. But he's saying now, but the fact that the goy, that the shota does it, does this mean now, what do we say? I mean, here we have a situation in which something like this took place. And now the Gemara says, Rebbe Latame, the Amar, Makolin Tavche Yisrael Basar, the Tavche Yisrael. When you have Rav goes according to his general reasoning, that you say when you have a situation of makolot, that there are many places to buy meat, including those from non-Jews. The Tavche Yisrael, but the butchers are Yisrael. It might mean here Makolin are also Yisrael, because you're giving a parallel kind of case. But I think
Makolin of Goyim, and the butchers are Jews.
Basar hanimsa biyad ovei kochim. We have that term nimsa, right? Nimsa was like Poresh, right? Or nimsa was the equivalent of Bein Shukim, right? Or Bein Chaniyot. Biyad ovei kochim mutter. It's mutter. And so therefore, what is he saying here? He's saying here, nonetheless, that there is no no separation. My question to you is that let's look at Rashi just for a second. Basar nimsa b'yad avdei chachavim. Look in the upper right. Sham shalochu min hatabachim listaker bo. The goyim bought it from Jews in order to make a business. So havadai lo shachta, they didn't shacht it, and they're doing a business, and they say it's mutter. The butter rov tabachim azlinen. Uletarfa lekel mechash. Deim ita deika trefa. Well, have mezabin like kedelu mochra b'makolim. The butcher would not have sold it to the non-Jew to sell it in his store. That's the basic kind of thing. But here we're saying we go by rov. Why do we go by rov here? Why do we go by rov? You hear my question?
There's no treifa meat in the situation.
Fine, but I'm saying is don't we? So there is.
No, we're worried. We're worried.
There is no such thing as treifa meat. That's in a sense you could say that's what Rashi is saying.
Well, but then why does he talk about rov?
So why does he talk about rov? Because there is one case. Okay, that's Nachum. Nachum says we talk about rov because we've had one case.
No, because maybe there's somebody who is a goy who's in the next town. Maybe it came in. I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of case. Maybe there's some kind of case that there's some treif meat that got there, and since everybody in the town, basically all the 99% of the shochtim are Jews, we're going to go by rov, and
that's not and
it's
the chance that there's some meat somewhere that's not kosher is not a kavua case,
and that's why we can go by rov. You're right. If it would be kavua,
that's a very smart response, but I don't know if that's right.
No.
Why do we go by rov here? Because it's in the hand of the goy. Once in the hand of the goy,
then it's porish.
Then it's porish. I think it's part of the definition of porish.
Even though it's in a chanut,
yeah,
it left the place of its kaviut, which was the shochet.
Right. You hear what he's saying?
I think.
Say it again.
I think that's what
you agree with me.
I agree with Rabbi Landis. Yes. No, I think
like somebody. Yeah.
I think what it's saying is that when it was by the shochet, it was kavua, but it's not by the shochet anymore. It's now in this makolet that's run by Ivan or whoever, who's not Jewish. So it's poresh, and it's left its kavua place, and now it's in this chanut, and we assume, or we're going to go by rov, that it came from a Jewish shochet.
Okay, now look at the Tosfot, second Tosfot on the left side. Rabbi Latameh Domer Makolim Makolim run by Goyim Utavche Yisrael. The butchers the slaughters, the shachtim, I should say, the shachtim are Yisrael. Hanimsa biyad ovei chavim's mutter. V'lo chayshin and shema yavi ovei kachavim me'nevela shebebeita. We're not worried that which is sold to him on a steady process, those slaughterings that don't go right, and is slaughtered for his personal thing, he's going to bring it. Lim korban makolim. We're not afraid of that. We're not closest to that. Therefore, it's out of the radar. It's not even like it's not even part of the mix. Oh, imachar echad min hatabachim trefel v'chachavim habolik not mimenu la'achila. V'lo kedai limkor b'makolim ein la'asor b'shvil kach makolim de'ovdei kachavim de'bater rov basar azlina.
I mean, it's a shocking, amazing statement that he's saying here.
Why is this an amazing statement?
I mean, he's basically saying maybe there is some treif meat in that makolet, but we're not going to worry. We're not going to worry about such a case, even though it's possible. It's unlikely, and therefore we're not going to worry about it.
So I'm saying